Hello everyone, it's Jennifer and thank you for watching me today. I have to say this is probably one of the first soft flex kits that I've done in a really long time, and was able to watch today's live with Sarah Ayler off and on this afternoon, and just a few beads just spoke out to me, and I knew that I had to do something tonight and I get something made up for you to see. But I wanted you to see everything that the kit has. It's the Lemonade. It is, let's see. It is the Lavender Lemonade. This bead strand is not available any longer. And yes, you see Jesse James beads on there. And that's because Jesse James beads, they do provide the bead strand and the bead mix for most of their design kits. Their design kits that are made for Great Bead Extravaganza don't include Jesse James beads, but there are some Jesse James beads that you can buy away from the Great Bead Extravaganza kit. And then the strands. This strand is just absolutely gorgeous. And I know that they don't have any in stock, but that's what they said today. And this just focal bead is just stunning, absolutely stunning. And then you have some boho beads, you have some crystals, you have some bead caps, you have some flower beads, and then you have a couple elongated bicones as well. This is just absolutely gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I don't know if I'll ever take this apart, but I wanted to show you that. Then also to the Lavender Lemonade bead mix. This bead mix has gold, it has silver, it has charms, it has metal beads. There's so much in this mix. There's tassels, there's a couple of long pendant crystals, and just absolutely gorgeous. I'm not going to open this up yet, because what I want to work with is I want to work with this little pile right here, and that's going to be the last pile I talk about. Today, Sarah used, she used a cap. There's a filigree or flower cap in this bead mix that she used, and then she also used these beads here and some of those metal beads from the mix. I love these cube beads. These cube beads are absolutely gorgeous, and they go so well with that flower and with all the rest of the beads in that mix. So we'll be doing something with these as well at a later time. You also get 10 feet of the purple amethyst color medium soft flex beading wire. If you've never used soft flex beading wire, you're just going to be spoiled once you do, because it's absolutely incredible. I use soft flex beading wire for almost all of my projects, and for my fine line, I use the sterling silver and the champagne, and this is in the extreme flex and in the medium as well. And I really love the quality and the colors that soft flex has, and they have so many different colors. If you're not sure what color you want, they do also have trio sets too. Then also included were these gorgeous chandelier pendants from Tiara Cast. Then you also get 4 ear wires, and then you get a lobster clasp. Then you also get 20 of their gold-filled 2x2 crimp tubes. So generous of them to do that. I'm going to go ahead and put these in their bag for safekeeping. And then I'm going to use a couple of those 2x2 crimp tubes, and then I'm going to put the rest in my little bag that I have here. I use these for my fine line because of the quality, as well as them being gold filled. Now, the star of the show for me were these yellow lemon beads. They're absolutely gorgeous. They are super light. And when Sarah shared these beads with them, it just looked like blueberry lemon. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a bracelet using these little beads here, which they do have a hint of purple in them, but to me they just look very, very blueberry-ish up against up against the lemon. So I am actually going to grab my Champagne Color Extreme Flex. I am going to use a magnetic clasp that I have in my stash. I'm also going to bring in some wire guards, not knowing if I'm going to actually keep this bracelet or not, or give it away as a gift. I want to make sure that the wire is protected, and so I'm going to go ahead and use a wire guard. And I do like the magnetic clasps. Sometimes a love-hate relationship with them, because I did have a dear friend lose a bracelet that I made that had a magnetic clasp, had a big chunky magnetic clasp, and it fell off. We think maybe when we were in a thrift store in Sonora, and I think maybe her arm got a little too close to the metal hanging rack, and so that's probably what happened. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm also going to bring in some cutters, and I'm going to bring in my magical crimpers. The magical crimpers are different from your standard crimpers. This one only has one well. And what this does is when you crimp down on the 2x2, it only works with the 2x2 crimp tube. And when you crimp down on that crimp tube, it flattens out and pinches the four corners. Then when you turn it sideways and give it another crimp, it actually takes those four corners and actually crimps them into the beading wire. So very, very secure and a bead-like finish. They do take a little bit to get used to, I will admit. It took me a little while to get consistent with them, and even now, sometimes if I'm working on something that's in a real tight area, I have a hard time with it. But just play with it. It gives your jewelry just such a good, nice finish as well. I'm going to work for the spool because I'm not sure how many beads I'm actually going to use, so I'm just going to start threading. And so I am going to thread on one of these. I'm going to call them the blueberries. So we're going to put a blueberry on, and then we're going to put a lemon. And I'm just going to alternate every other one. And let's go ahead and get that in there and just kind of force it through the other side. And then the lemon and the blueberry. And the holes, you just have to be careful and just be patient with them. The holes are a little different on each one. And Sarah mentioned today that when they were packaging these up, they really spent a good amount of time making sure that the ones that went into the kits, that the holes were okay for those, for the lemons, because they can be different. It's like this is right down the middle. This one's right down the middle too. Most of mine so far have been right down the middle. So they did do a really good job on getting these passed through their little inspection. It is a tight fit on this beading wire, but that's okay. These, the blueberries are, and that's all right. I'm hoping that I have at least an extra lemon and blueberry left over afterwards. And I'm just gonna go every other one and see how big that makes it. I might have to go back in and make it to where I have two blueberries in between each one, which I'm fine with that too. We'll just see how big this makes it. If so, I just unstrand it or destrand it and then start all over again and put two blueberries in between. We can do that. And I work from the spool just so that, and I can already tell it's going to be very short. So I'm going to go ahead and take off this one already. And I'm going to put two in between, and then I'll put two on this end after I take off. After I finish off this side. And I work from the spool to minimize waste. And I have found that I really don't have a lot of waste when I do this. Now, when I get a kit, that has wire in it that's pre-cut, I do waste quite a bit. And so I started working from the spool, and I had to have seen that from somebody. I know I didn't come up with that on my own. I haven't been doing this long enough to come up with tips and tricks on my own. And yeah, I'm just absolutely loving these beads. I want more of them. I do like the 2. I like it with 2 in between. I think it doesn't hide the blueberries as much when you do the 2. So I like it. That's been happening quite a bit. I did a live on Saturday with Danielle Wicks and Carol Carmen. And the earring that I made, I wasn't going to have enough of one of the beads for the second pair of earrings. I didn't think far enough ahead. I was just so excited that I was working with beading thread and actually making it work. And Danielle takes great pride in turning me into a seed beader too, which she did. And it's just also to the quality of those John bead beads. All right, so I didn't have enough of one of the beads, and so when I made the second one, I did half and changed up the design quite a bit, and I ended up liking it better. So, you know, happy accident. I think that's what Carol said. Happy accident. So I had a good time. I know Danielle makes appearances on the Softflex lives as well, and I have had so much fun with her. So glad I met her. I met her through Neelay Patel, and I'm actually in the works of asking her to do something with me for Neelay. So hopefully we can get that worked out too. So if you're not following me on Instagram, or if you have not subscribed to my channel here, you'll want to so you don't miss out on those fun little impromptus. Okay, and I am going to have a few of these little beads left over, which is kind of fun. All right, and see, I'm just kind of poking that through. All right, let me see how long that is. Well, that's probably almost 8 inches. It's probably too much. So let's bring out my fancy measurer here. And it's right at 6. So I'm probably going to take off, I'll take off one set. Let's see where that lands, because this is probably going to be about an inch or so. So it ends up being about 6 inches. Maybe I'll just do one on the end. Maybe I'll just do one on the end, and that gets it to about 5.5. Maybe, let me see here. Let's see, because this is going to be mine. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the 2. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the 2 beads on the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this one on there. All right, so what we're gonna do, so we have a little one to make maybe a little, I can make another little bracelet too with that and just have that as the center. All right, so let's get rid of that. So the first thing I wanna do is I want to go ahead and thread on my, my 2x2 crimp tube. Then I'm gonna go ahead, you know what? I don't know if this is gonna fit through there now that I think about it. Let's see. It might, we'll see. So let's go ahead and do this. And if not, I'll just put jump rings, which I kind of like the idea of using a jump ring, just because then if I want to add a dangle, which I could, or if the magnetic clasp, if it malfunctions, I don't have to take the whole bracelet apart, which I might not have to anyways, because I can just cut at the clasp. Let's go here. Let's see where we're gonna, there we go. Let's see if it goes over. If it goes over, yeah, but it doesn't go over very well. So let's just go ahead, and I'm gonna go ahead and just, what I like to do is I like to bring the ends of the wire guard together, just like so. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm pinch them together. And I use the front notch. This is the standard crimper. I use the front notch. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get this 2x2 crimp tube through the second strand, just like so. I'll just have to grab some jump rings, which I can do that. All right, so now what you want to do is you want to take, there's only one notch, so that's it. You want to place this crimp tube right in the middle of the crimper. So you need to make sure that you're in the well and make sure that you're not sticking out on each side, and give it a little bit of squeeze, and you have the 4 corners pinched. Then go ahead and turn it on its side, okay, and get right there in the middle again. Now, as you're doing this, you're crimping those corners into the beading wire, okay? And as you're doing that, you're really, really reinforcing that whole, it's very strong hold. And you can do your little tug test, put your fingernail in between, but look at that. That's a gorgeous bead-like finish, right? So now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and come in with my cutters and go as close as I can down to that crimp and give it just a little, and I didn't have that much waste. Now I do have to remember that I added a bead on this side. So I have 2 there too. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead and cut off a little bit, just enough for me to have a little bit of area. And I know I'm not gonna pass it back through. I do like to pass it back through, especially on this side, because I feel like it gives me a little bit of extra, strength, or a little bit more grip. So let's go ahead and put on this wire guard. And what I like about the wire guards is you pass it through like a little tiny tube, right? Then it sits in a little groove and then comes back down through the other side via another tube. And it does provide your wire really good protection. And I do put these on, I use gold-filled ones from John Bead, actually, for my fine line, to hold them all, to keep them all nice and protected, keep that wire protected. Because you never know if you're going to be selling it. So my fine line is what I sell, and I want to make sure that it's as secure as possible. And so I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm just going to make sure that it's not too loose. I don't see any gaps anywhere. So now what I'm going to do, and again, you see a little bit of gap here, but once you put it on, there's no gap. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I want to get a good grip on that. And I don't want to crimp on top of my bead, right? So I want to make sure I'm in there in the middle and give it a squeeze. And I got my 4 corners pinched. And then now I'm going to go ahead and come in, turn it on its side. And now I'm going to just start going, I say going around the horn, here. Just turning and turning and turning. And you turn until you can't feel any tension, and you can hear it. It's still crimping down. It's still crimping down. And you can hear it and you can feel it. And so I'm just crimping and I'm turning it around, and I can still see and I can feel the tension. And once I stop feeling the tension, then I know that I have that bead-like finish. And again, yes, you see a little bit of a gap there. Well, once you put it on, that gap is all full. So you don't have that gap with the wire. And then with this wire, if it shows, I am perfectly fine with that. This is good wire. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up my jump ring. Again, opening it front to back, not side to side. Then this is where it gets tricky. You have to kind of hurry up and get the other side of your pliers on there and get that all nice and closed off. It's kind of hard sometimes with the magnetic clasp because it wants to get in the way. All right, so let's try this again. Make sure that we have no passes the nail test, the fingernail test. Okay, let's go ahead and open this up. Get that on there. Get the other side. And it doesn't matter if it's all twisted now because the magnetic clasp, you can just spin it. All right, so now we gotta just hurry up and get that on there. And it's just a little awkward. And just make sure it's on there nice and well. Make sure you're not going in between. And there we go. We have a cute little bracelet. It's maybe a blueberry lemon cheesecake bracelet. Very pretty. I love the colors. I do have a little bit left over, so maybe I can make another bracelet. I know that we do have some of those gold. We have some gold spacer beads in the other mix, and so maybe I can do something with that too. All right, so give this quick video a huge thumbs up if you like it. Also too, this is all the scrap I had. That's it. Give this video a huge thumbs up if you like it. Comment. I'd love to see what everybody has to say, and subscribe. And until next time, have a good one.